very often in the world of literature, we forget or we seem to forget the custodians of our literature. And over the years, there have been many. I mentioned a few like A.J. Seymour, Annie Cameron, Sheikh Sadiq, Rupnandan Singh, Ruplam Munar, Rajkumari Singh. Quite a long list of people down the ages. Kamta Karan, Miss Poetry Prize, even publishers. People Tree Press, Jeremy Poynton, Arif Ali, and the Hansif Press. So over the years, there have been custodians of our literature and our culture that was keeping it alive. Right? Now, there is a name that is missing on the list here. And I must apologize for overlooking that name. Ameena Gafoor. She's been doing quite an amazing job with the Arts Forum and the Journal. Right? And most of the time, the Arts Journal is peer review. Imagine that. Right? And the Arts Forum usually put on art, literature, and other function. So she's quite a figure. She's a critic. She appreciates good literature. Right? So she is one of the persons, right, who's been keeping our literature alive. And we should say thank you to her for that. How well do you know of her work and how much it means, what value you can give to her work?
Well, thank you, Petamber. First of all, let me add to your list before I talk about Ameena Gafoor. You've forgotten the most important writer and scholar we ever produced, which was Walter Rodney. And this month is his birthday, the 23rd. And he was the great promoter of scholarship on Caribbean, African
Yes.
history, our great historian. Now, let me take you up about Ameena Gafoor. Of course, the Arts Journal, which started in 2004. The last issue was 2018. The University of the West Indies press is now looking on continuing it. But it was an epic act, actually, epic, because here was a solitary woman commissioning, editing, publishing, printing, distributing, paying for the only arts journal we have in Guyana. And because it's the arts, not just literature, in the Caribbean.
Yes.
So that's epic. And where she had the energy to do that, as well as write her autobiography, as well as do a bibliography, as well as publish a book on Guyanese literature.
Amazing output, yeah.
Yeah, she published a book on Roy Heath, the only book length on Roy Heath. So Ameena is very special, and I'm so pleased that the University of Guyana last year awarded her an honorary doctorate. Now, I'm the director of the Ameena Gafoor Institute in the UK, which was set up in honor of Ameena Gafoor, myself and other colleagues, Eve Canram, Dr. Maria Kaladin, Dr. Lynn Macedo, Professor Amar Wahab, and Ben Jacob, and who have I forgotten? We set up the Ameena Gafoor Institute, a joint project. I mean, I head it and I overlook it and I organize it.
How did this come about? I mean,
Well, indentureship
yeah.
is what happened after slavery, post-slavery, is indentureship, and it's not as well researched as slavery for obvious reasons, because it's only took place over 100 years. It didn't involve the horrors that African slavery, the enslavement of Africans, involved. It didn't change the Americas in the way that slavery did, and so on. But indentureship involved everybody: Indians, Portuguese, Chinese,
Yes.
whites. Don't forget the Irish were the first indentured laborers long before other
Indians.
people came. They were indentured for many years, the Irish, from the 17th century onwards. And of course, a lot of freed Africans were also indentured on the plantations in the Caribbean, Jamaica, Guyana, and so on. So it involves all of us. So we set up the Ameena Gafoor Institute in honor of Ameena. Our honorary patrons include Pat Rodney, who is the widow of Walter Rodney, Uma Mestri, who is a professor at the University of Western Cape in Africa, and she is Mahatma Gandhi's great-granddaughter, and Lord Parekh, who is a great scholar, and others. And then the Ameena Gafoor Institute worked very closely with Cambridge University. But before I say that, the website is the only website on indentureship anywhere in the world. It is it's full of articles and scholarship on indentureship.
I was just about to ask, what can we find on that?
Well, you can find if you want to find any book. It has the largest bibliography in the world, the most comprehensive on indentureship. So if you want to know about the history of indentureship in Fiji or wherever, you go to the website and the bibliography. It has an oral history project where we've interviewed about 20 scholars and artists on indentureship, living scholars and artists. It has a journal, the very first journal called the Journal of Indentureship and Its Legacies, which has now 5 or 6 issues. Professor Amar Wahab, Dr. Maria Khalidin, and myself are the editors. So all of that activity is going on. Never unprecedented, but more than that, the Ameena Gafoor Institute is now partnered with the University of Cambridge to create the very first visiting fellowships in indentureship studies in any university worldwide. So this year, the visiting fellow will be Uma Mestri, Mahatma Gandhi's great-granddaughter. And as you probably know, Cambridge was instrumental in the ending of indentureship because Mahatma Gandhi's right-hand man was C.F. Andrews, who was a Cambridge don.
Who came here, visited.
And Mahatma Gandhi sent him to Guyana, Trinidad, Fiji, Mauritius, and South Africa to report on the condition of the indentured laborers.
Friends of the indentured.
On the basis of that report, the Mahatma Gandhi campaigned for the ending of the system, which happened in 2020. But so that is historic, and for the Ameena Gafoor Institute to be partnering with the University of Cambridge, which is one of the oldest universities in the world, right? At any one time, it's got 36 Nobel Prize winners in its staff, right? A great university. It's tremendous, but we've gone one further now. 3 weeks ago, my friend Lord Ranger donated to Cambridge University because we lobbied for it with him, the Ameena Gafoor Institute. He's now donated £100,000, English pounds, to create a permanent annual lecture on indentureship studies and its legacies. So every year from next year, forever, there will be a lecture at the University of Cambridge on indentureship.
Wow.
And that will also be in honor of Ameena Gafoor, right? So these things are, my present job is to help to create a permanent professorship on indentureship studies at the University of Cambridge. So I have to raise 3.4 million pounds for that. It will be done. It will take a little bit of time, but it will be done because we've moved now. The boats have left Calcutta and sailing to Cambridge.
Yeah. What I'm getting here is that the institute is not static. It is moved from place to place, meaning from level to level, right? Which is good, and all because of this great enabler, Ameena Gafoor.
Well, I would not be involved. I mean, I took early retirement from the University of Warwick to run the institute because Ameena is somebody I have tremendous respect for as one of the very, very few intellectuals, creators of the arts in this country. One of a handful. Yeah. And she's a woman as well. And she's been doing this whilst also working for Gafoor Industries and setting up all kinds of other charities.
Yes, indeed. She was awarded, right, for her charitable work and also for her writing.
Yes. So I'm really happy that this is taking place, because it's Cambridge University and Guyana. Normally you don't have that link, and I'm pleased to have also said that I put our University of Guyana in touch with the University of Cambridge. So I hope that eventually something
Something come
creative
out of it,
will come
yeah,
out of that.
yeah.
The other thing I should say about Ameena Gafoor is when we set up the Caribbean Press in 2009, she said to me, "Don't just publish books about the normal reader, your normal reader." When I say your normal reader, the 15 people who are interested in Guyanese history in this country. She said, "Publish books on children for children." And that is how I had the idea of publishing 2 anthologies
For children.
for children,
Yeah.
and then another book of stories for children, and so on, right?
I know, I know. As you talk about the Caribbean Press, let's look at the Caribbean Press, the board of the Caribbean Press, where it came from. I think there's the series preface written by President Barrett Jagdeo that spelled out its beginning. But what I liked about it is that it says that the library will republish out of print poetry, novel, travelogues as to remind us of our literary heritage. And it will also remind us of our reputation for scholarship in the fields of history, anthropology, sociology, politics, blah, 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 right? But then he closes this series by saying, so that all Guyanese can appreciate our monumental achievement in moving from exploitation, beautiful, moving from exploitation to expression. Beautiful, beautiful phrase. Talk about the beginning of the Caribbean Press.
Well, when I had the good fortune of meeting President Jagdeo at Carifesta in 2008, I made an appeal for the creation of a publication house in Guyana, because I knew that Heinemann was closing down not closing down, but minimizing
Scaling down, right.
and Macmillan, they're minimizing their interest in Caribbean literature. And so I made the appeal. I was with Derek Walcott, the Nobel laureate, so that strengthened the appeal tremendously. But the president responded immediately, and he said, "Who is your team?" I told him it's myself and Ian MacDonald. We started with that, and with Ameena's intellectual backing. Ameena Gafoor's intellectual backing. We don't want any money. We'll just give you a list of the books that should be published. We have a little committee of scholars to look at the recommendations, and we will print the books. You pay for the printing of the books. You pay for the shipping of the books, and it goes to Guyana for free distribution to libraries and schools. With some sent to Austin Bookshop for the general public, right? And many of these books are now on the internet, where you can download for free, the CaribbeanPress.org. It was between 2009 and 2015, the largest publication program in the history of Guyana.